Hello, this is David from Patch, and I'm here to introduce a new program we're doing and a new gentleman we've been working with. This is Mr. Fava. Mr. Fava, welcome to Patch and our news show.
Thank you. I've been appreciating and love working with the students.
Yep, so we met you here in the winter, and we've worked through a system that you've developed and working with math specifically at the elementary school through the spring session, and now you've rolled into the summer session. And I think that math is a big issue as far as parents understanding it, students using it, and teachers teaching it.
Yes.
And we seem to be struggling a little bit. And that not to say that our math teachers aren't working hard. They're working very hard. It's just working with what they have, I guess, so to speak. And it sometimes can be an uphill battle. And you have brought to the table a system that has really turned the corner for some of our students. So we want to introduce you, introduce your system, and talk a little bit about what folks can look forward to in the future of Roane County and learning about numbers. So let's talk a little bit about your background. You have extensive knowledge as a principal, teacher, and a pretty broad background working with students. Discuss your background a little bit.
Okay. I've been a principal for 30 years. I taught for 15 years. I've actually taught full-time kindergarten, which is unusual. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and all of high schools, the areas and regions. From that point, starting in 1972 when I first taught, that's a long time ago, I started using Cuisenaire rods the second year I was teaching. All of a sudden, my students were excelling.
Right.
We had the highest grades in the district.
Right.
And I didn't make the connection of being a new teacher and what I was using. I'm a special education teacher.
Right.
I've been a director of special ed, coordinator of special education. So my goal has been always how to find how the brain works.
Right.
And math, I don't use math. I use numbers. I teach it like we would the alphabet. So my system developed very early on with this called Cuisenaire rods, so that you all can see what the word looks like. It's a metric system from Sweden. And all of a sudden, 10 colors. That's how simple numbers are. We make math really difficult.
Yep.
I'm trying to make it simple for everybody.
Yep.
This is the most simplest, easy system that we could use because you're using 10 colors with 10 numbers only.
And speaking of that, with your experience, you had said you were introduced to the Cuisenaire rods in about 1973, and you started to look at how the brain works, how to do association with numbers, and you developed your own system.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about your system, and then let us know when it's appropriate to cut over to the Cuisenaire rods so that people can get a first hand on it.
My system is one. If you're not having fun, you're not learning. And most mathematics are do 75 of this problem, 25 of this. It has to do with memorization.
Right.
This is called, my system is imprinting. 10 colors, 10 numbers, 10 codes, which I can teach you from that all the way to using algebra.
Right.
This is how simple it is. And if I could show them the rods.
Let's cut over to the rods, please.
This is orange. It's 10. Blue is 9. Brown is 8. Black is 7. Dark green is 6. Yellow is 5. Purple is 4. Light green is 3. Red is 2. And 1 is white, the universal number. From that, students then hook up with the numbers and colors, and all of a sudden the world comes alive to them.
Now, these are just wooden
Wooden.
dowel rods.
You can get them wooden or you can get them plastic. They cost you $12. And then,
introduce your calculator.
Instead of paying $350 for a computer, you can use a meter stick. Did I get that? Okay, you can use a meter stick, and this is their computer. No longer will your child sit there and trying to add, subtract with their fingers.
Right.
You use this in the beginning stages. My whole theory and premise is we take pre-K, K1, 2 to teach the alphabet and reading. We really don't spend that time in numbers.
Right.
Numbers lead to math.
Yep.
And I have kids have fun. We don't use paper. We don't use pencils. It's color.
Yep.
And
well, let's expand on that a little bit. You talk about you put the Cuisenaire rods in their hands.
yes,
They
let's touch them.
Yes, they build. And actually, let's cut back. I found this pretty interesting. You were talking about the number 6, for instance.
Yes.
You can build 6 many different ways using Cuisenaire rods and allowing kids to be tactile with what they're doing. Tactile's touch, which is the ability to associate or imprint, as you say. So talk a little bit about that.
And there's more than one way to reach an answer.
Right.
As I have in front of you right now, I don't know if you can see it. The dark green is equal to a light green, a red, and a white. In our first several weeks of working together, we don't talk about numbers.
Yep.
We talk about colors, how colors added together equal other colors, or subtracted.
Spin that a little bit.
Now, for instance, I'm going to take a 10. Now, I can hit that with a brown and a red. And by the way, it is also different if I go red and brown. They learn to manipulate in their heads, not with pencil and paper.
Right.
And enough of this is why I call my system imprinting. They're visually touching it, moving it, they're talking about it, they're hearing about it. They're not memorizing it.
Right. So that's an important part, I think, because a lot of times here we think of math as sitting down with pencil and paper and trying to scribe out an answer and figure out in your head different ways of doing a math problem, for instance, whereas you're actually handing them, rods in their hands. They can tactily touch them. You talk to them as they do it, so now they're introducing different senses to get to the same place.
Yes.
And as you know, and as we talked about earlier, you have your special education background. Incorporating different senses makes a world of difference.
Oh, yes,
for
it does.
a student to learn.
And what's nice about this with teachers, you don't need to be formally trained.
Right.
Yeah, your math background could be even smaller, and the expense of this per student is about 2/3 less than a textbook.
Oh yeah, easily.
So, and what's nice is when you take the course with us in September, if you choose to, you get your own box.
Let's talk about a little bit about that. So you incorporate it. Each child has their own kit, their own calculator,
yes,
and their own markers to make everything work. And you incorporate it. The last thing we'll talk about. Let's talk about how you incorporate it, because you had mentioned you do 15 minutes of work, and then you get up and you get them moving, and they walk around, the hallway. And I heard you come down the hallway yesterday with your class here at our summer programs. What is this? And they'd all say red. Red is 2. And then 2 is red. And you're working that through the association and the imprinting part, yes. But it's not just we're going to sit down and scribe answers out and how that works. So
children's retention, I'd say ability to stay on a topic is about 15 minutes.
Yep.
I don't talk for 15. I talk for maybe 2, 3. We go and do a project. After 15, I get them up, and then we use the building. Everything around, I could take them outside because there's color all around us.
Yes.
What color of the car? How much is the cars? Add up these cars for me.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're doing math using numbers.
Yep. And that's a pretty important part.
Yes.
So, okay, if you're interested, you have a child that is struggling with math, or if you just are interested in getting them to learn a different system of numbers and math, then by all means get involved with our patch programs. Mr. Fava is helping this summer with our summer program here at the Committee on Aging, and then in the fall we will start back in with our school program at the elementary school, and just get a hold of us and let us know. Now we have, and this is the best part, a lot of times people will throw out theories about whatever it may be and say, well, I think this works. Locally, we have gotten positive results, not only from students but from parents. You yourself have a myriad of years. I won't give away your age. You got some years behind you with having proven results.
Yes.
So we're just not guessing about how this will help. It will help.
Yes.
It will help your child learn.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about it is they have fun while they're doing
Yes.
it. It's not a drudgery.
Yeah.
They look at something and it's a game.
Yep.
And all of a sudden this game then becomes embedded, and now they can use it any time in their life.
Yep. And so to help them carry on. Okay, so for more information, get a hold of us at Patch 927-8047, our Facebook page, facebook.com/Patch 21, and we'll be more than happy to get you together with Mr. Fava here. And also, having parents involved in learning this is a pretty important
Oh, yes.
as well. So we need to talk more about parent involvement. So we'll be back, and we'll have video number 2, which will get more in depth with talking about how the system works, how it affects the children, and their imprinting aspects. So we'll be back for more information. So as always, thanks to A&M Digital Technologies for producing this show, and thanks, Mr. Paul, for coming in.
Thank you for having me here.
All right, we'll be back with more.